meantime, let's get a gauge of this. What does the middle of this 1,000-point swing really mean? Does this end the way it ended with the Wall Street reassessing things, calming down, the real reaction or the frantic stuff beforehand? Let's go to market watcher Scott Martin, Anthony Scaramucci, part of that Trump finance team, Democratic strategist Penny Lee. Anthony, to you first, and you're very tight with the Trump folks, obviously, and well-connected. Were they ever surprised by the initial Wall Street reaction they were getting? At any time, it looked good for Trump, it looked bad for stocks. Did that surprise them?
I don't really think so, Neil. I think that they sort of thought that this would be a Brexit-like thing, similar to what happened in June with the Brexit result. And so, and I did mention this to you last night when I talked to Mr. Trump at around 11:40 last night. We really wanted to make sure that that speech was high and tight and very presidential. And I think what you saw in the markets today was literally the 3 weeks of the Brexit narrative, where the markets went down over the week period of time, and then they raced back up once people realized that Armageddon wasn't upon us. And so I think we were able to compress all of that in 8 short hours, which I think is a pretty good sign for things.
You know, Scott Martin, one of the things I said, without taking sides in this political race, you would think that a lot of the sort of headline prescriptions that Donald Trump had as a candidate for the economy, of lowering taxes, getting rid of regulations, simplifying the health care system. Again, on that last one, easier said than done. You just can't rip up Obamacare, but he's going to try. That 2 or 3 of those were right up their alley. So why the reaction and the volatile reaction at that?
That was the head-scratching thing to me all along this way, was these were pro-business policies. These were pro-free market policies, which is what I think this market wants. And going forward, if you're a business, you like what Trump is bringing to the table. Think about all the trillions of dollars that are sitting overseas from our S&P 500 companies that is over in some other tax bracket or tax denomination because it gets treated better. Think about that money that's going to come back here, create jobs, create reinvestment, create value in labor creation. I mean, you're talking about all kinds of things about businesses now that have been focused back in the U.S. because Trump comes in with a fresh look at things, and it's not D.C. anymore the way we used to know it.
Penny, you know, there's always sort of looking after the fact what Hillary Clinton or the Democrats in general did wrong. We see that all the time. So there might not be anything to this. But do you think the singular war on the rich, saying the rich have to pay their fair share, that registered, but in a negative way? A lot of people say nothing of the rich who might not have flipped over. Many of those who weren't rich thought, saying, "Hey, wait a minute! I'm not suspicious of all rich people. I think some of them are actually pretty decent folk." That, in other words, Hillary over Bernie Sanders it. What do you think?
Well, you know, I guess the prognostic, you know, we're all going to be armchair quarterbacks now trying to look back through the data to figure out what happened, because what we were predicting last night didn't necessarily pan out. So we are going to take a look at it, look at the language, look at where the votes came from, look to see if there was that alienation of those that might have thought she leaned too far into that message of trying to tax the rich, because they have the aspiration to be wealthy in and of themselves. But there's going to be a lot of factors, I think, at the end of the day that we looked into it, whether it be tactics, whether it be her lack of a vision message that people could really rally and resonate towards, whether or not it was just that she was able to not to put the right coalition together. Her own base didn't turn out. So I think many different factors. One of those might be that thread that you just talked about, as far as maybe attacking the rich. But, you know, Bernie Sanders had that same message, and he got an overwhelming support from the base. So I think a lot of data.
But I think in a general election, if you can't, you got to get beyond that base. But you could be right, Penny. It's way too soon to judge. But Anthony, well, I've got you here. Already, a lot of countries and individuals, business guys, are weighing Donald Trump and what he's proposed. Probably no more than Mexico right now. That country is coming out with a response to Donald Trump, the Deputy Interior Minister, saying it doesn't expect Mr. Trump's proposed mass deportation of undocumented Mexicans in the U.S. will begin soon or be quick. It's already ready. That is Mexico to lobby the U.S. Congress and use all legal means to block such efforts. And so it begins. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, I think that all good plans, when they meet contact with the enemy, like generals say, they change. And Mike Tyson would tell you that everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. And so Mr. Trump has a plan, but he's a
I wish
very...
you hadn't used the Mike Tyson example because he lost $1 billion fortune. But
Well, my point is that Mr. Trump has a plan, but I do think he's a very practical person, Neil. He's got huge common sense, and he's got a team of people that are surrounded by common sense. And my guess is he's going to get along fantastically with the Mexican people and with the Mexican administration.
do you think they're going to build the wall? Do you think they're keen on building the wall?
I take Mr. Trump at his word that he will build a wall in certain areas of that
They've
border.
already said they're not paying for it.
Well, let me tell you something. There's ways that they'll end up paying for it, whether they like it or not. But the truth be told, we've got to make the trade imbalance a little bit fairer for the U.S. I think the Mexican administration knows that. We know that. And the American people want that. That's why they were resoundingly voting for him yesterday.
All right, Scott, real quickly, 100 days, first 100 days is crucial for a new administration. What do you want to see a Trump administration do in those first 100 days?
I want to see him tackle fiscal policy. We've had a very, very detrimental fiscal situation in this country for many, many years. You have to unlock business investment. You have to unlock consumer spending. I think Donald Trump can do that. That's why the market's reacting so well.
Guys, great job all. Thank you for your patience with breaking news and these Mexican
Happy
developments.
day, Neil.
Oh,
Happy
very
Trump
good
day.
job. Get
Happy
some sleep,
day.
young man. Get some sleep. All right.